welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you a tour of our new homeschool room space. So if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool and lifestyle content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. All right, so about a week ago, we had our homeschool space redone. We got some built-ins. We recently redid our floors, and I'd wanted to do built-ins for a while, so we just decided to do it now. And so we got that all done. So I spent the last week trying to organize everything and put everything back together before we leave for Africa. And just a few things, if you want to know what it used to look like or what, like kind of how it's changed over the years, there is a whole bunch of videos, and I can try to remember to link some of them down below so you can go through and look at those things. And then also right after this video, I will have the organization of this room, like what it looked like, me organizing everything. If you want to see it completely empty, just the built-ins before we put anything back in here, that video will have all of those types of things. But I didn't want to spoil the reveal by putting that one first. So we're doing this and showing you the tour, and then if you want to kind of see the process behind it all, you can wait for that one and watch that one. So just those few little notes for you. And then just a few other things before I actually show you the room. You're kind of getting some teasers back here a little bit, but it's not, most of it's done, but it's not completely finished. We're leaving in just about 2 weeks. And so there's little things that will probably change over the years as we use this space and things like that. There'll be some artwork I need to add. We have some really big blank walls. So I'd like to get something Christ-centered and then maybe something from Africa, or maybe do some sort of collage wall. I'm not sure yet. So we have some empty spaces that still need to be filled that way. And then I also was waiting on baskets for my kids' piano books, and I'll show you that space in just a minute. But I've tried 2 different baskets. Neither of them worked. Even though the measurements were showing they should have been a good size, they haven't worked. So I've looked through so many different types of baskets because they have to fit in the shelf space. They have to fit like piano books, you know, so it's bigger than a normal like sheet of paper and stuff. So trying to find something that's gonna work, we'll see. So I ordered some more baskets and we'll see if those ones work. So that's the only thing that's still not quite put together that I would have liked to have done, but it isn't yet. And then also I have wanted bookcases like this for a long time. I've always wanted a Beauty and the Beast library, but obviously I don't have that big of a house and don't want that big of a house to have a massive library. And so this is sufficient. It makes me feel like I have my own Beauty and the Beast library. We don't have like ladders or anything because those would have gotten in the way, but we have 10-foot ceilings and a lot of our vertical space wasn't being utilized. And so I was like, if we do bookcases, then like all the way to the ceiling, we can utilize that, put stuff at the top that we don't use as often and things like that. So we decided just to do it now because it is a process. It takes a while, and these actually got done faster than normal. And so if we waited till after Africa, it would have just taken even longer. And so we just decided to do it now. I went with some color instead of just doing white. I was hesitant because it's hard to know what it's gonna look like in this space. So that was something fun for me. And then the other thing that was a little bit tricky with planning this all out, which you'll see in a minute, is that before our desk space was on the wall like behind me where our piano now is. And so when you come in the door, you couldn't see the computer screen. And I wanted it so we could see the computer screen. Not that my kids are usually doing things they're not supposed to, but they'd see you come in the room, or you'd come all the way in the room and then have to turn to look at the screen. Whereas where it is now behind me, when you come in the door, you can see immediately what they're doing on the computer. And that's what I preferred, but that meant we were also working with bookcases and a corner. And so we had to kind of get a little creative on how we wanted to do that, because corners are tricky, you lose space. and stuff like that. You know, they're tricky in the kitchens and all that kind of thing. So it's also tricky here. So we couldn't do bookcases across the whole top because that would have wasted a big chunk of the corner. So we did this bookcase behind me. Again, you'll see it all in just a minute, but figured I would explain these few things. So that was kind of the goal. Utilize vertical space, make sure we can see the computer when we walk in. And my kids, usually when we sit at the desk when they're working on the computer, and then we have a table back here that they can sit at as well. So that's kind of the ideas and thought process that went in to this space. All right, here's the much awaited tour. I'm so excited. So this is part of the room, and then the other bookcase is over here. So I'll go through and show you everything. It's really hard to find a good time of day to film back here to show you the whole room because so much light comes through this window basically all day long. So this is the best that we can do with what we have. So sorry about that. But this is the space and I love it so much, and I just love the smell. It smells so, like, I just love wood. I love the wood smell. So first of all, we'll talk about this table. This is not new. This used to be our kitchen table. The black table that was in here, we put downstairs, and we're using that kind of as like a puzzle table, or just if my kids are doing things in the basement, they can use that table. And I brought this one back here. It's a really good sturdy table. I got it like 7 or 8 years ago from Wayfair, and we used it with the leaf in it. But in order for it to fit back in this space, we took the leaf out. And so we just left it this smaller size. And then this stuff is not new. We already had it. It needs to be gone through. I just haven't done that yet and probably won't before Africa. I just don't know if we'll have time to worry about it. But colored pencils and normal pencils, there's pens over there, there's glue, scissors, and then, you know, like protractors, rulers, things like that. And this I made from a kit. I used to be part of like a DIY projects thing. So that's where I got that from. And then markers, this is probably just something from Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I'm not really sure. And then these chairs are from probably Wayfair or Joss and Main. They're part of the same company. And so I have those back here just because we needed more chairs. And then these are from IKEA. And when I tried to get another one a few years ago, they didn't have the same kind, because we've had these for about 7 years. And I really like these ones, and my kids like them too. They're a really good height. And then we have this chair back here that's from Wayfair. I have some similar ones upstairs. This one's a different color. And so my son actually likes the black ones better because I think they sit a little bit higher. So that's kind of those things. And then I guess we'll turn on to this wall. There's not much going on. There's a clock. And then the bulletin board. I'm like, what is this thing? Whiteboard is what it's called. I'm like, I don't remember what it's called. Is right here. It used to be on this wall over here, but this just seemed the best place to put it. And I made this, well, not the whiteboard part, but I made the border a few years ago. So I put that there so that all my kids could see it. They draw on it, it's magnetic, so we can use it that way as well. And then at the end, I'll show you the closet. It looks very similar to what it normally does, except it's a little bit more clean and organized. So over here we have the desk part of the built-ins. So like I said, we were trying to figure out this corner, because if we put shelves all the way across, like bookcases all the way across, it would have taken up some of that corner space. So we had thought about dividing the desk and just putting a built-in down the middle, but since the space wasn't quite big enough to make 2 big desks, it would have looked a little silly. They would have been really small. So instead we pushed the bookcase to the end of the desk and left the desk there with some space and file drawers. So that's what these drawers are file drawers. And that's about all we need. We used to have a huge file cabinet, but it was just full of stuff we didn't need. So I have smaller ones. And this cabinet of shelves, bookcase, whatever you want to call it, has a little bit more just decorative type stuff because you can see this bookcase from our kitchen. And so when you walk down our hallway, this is what you see. And I don't know what else I'm going to put on the top. I just had that sign that I had made a while ago. These magazine holders, I'm like, this is really testing my knowledge of what anything is called. I'm like, I don't even know. And these are from Target. First of all, I wanted some nice looking ones that were not foldable, you know, and very sturdy, but also I didn't want my kids playing with them because they would break them. So I just put some curriculum out. I don't know. I didn't really use any sort of method to figure it out. I just was like, oh, here's a bunch of science books, and then geography is in those ones, and then some nature stuff in this one. And so that's just what I set out. Maybe it'll change. I'm not really sure yet, but that's what I did. And then a picture right here. These are all of our Shutterfly family books. This is new. I don't have anything in it yet. I have some really old picture frames that are so cheap from Ross. They're crazy, colorful designs. Like, I just went in and needed something for pictures when I was like a teenager. And so I was trying to get something I could put those pictures in that matches better. So that's just from Amazon, but I haven't put the pictures in it yet. And then I just left a few decor items that I had before, these things I had before as well, and put those there. I don't need this space right now for anything else, so I just put decorations. And then there's this massive drawer here, which I sort of filled up a little bit today. These dividers are from Amazon. I'll try to link the few things I can below that are from Amazon, or maybe the magazine holders from Target. But this comes with so many. This isn't even all of them because I put all the dividers in here too. There's a whole nother set. And so there's a lot that you could do with this. And there's different colors too. I just went with the black ones. They have the like natural wood colored ones and stuff. So I put a few things in here that we don't use as often and that I didn't want just sitting out on the counter. So just some pens, some dry erase markers. These are wet and dry erase. My kids like to use a mouse for the computers, and then some more just like protractors, compass things in there, magnets, and then highlighters, and then we'll see what else. And then our printer paper I put in here. That seemed the easiest place to put it. So, and it's really nice, like sturdy drawer. And then down here is all my kids' schoolwork. So I got these bins from Amazon. Let me squat down so you can see a little bit. So these are from Amazon. They could go the other way as well. Right now there's some extra bins behind them so they won't turn, but if we don't use those bins, they could turn them the other way. They come out easily here. They just get caught a little bit on the hinge, but we're leaving soon anyway, so most of this will come with us. But that's where I put their schoolwork. Again, we didn't need this storage for something else. And then, first of all, I just love this color. I was very unsure. Like, I knew I'd like the color. I'd gotten a whole bunch of little paint slips from Home Depot and kind of put them on this wall with wood colors, trying to figure out what I wanted. It was either blue grayish type of things or some greens, like muted greens. And I'm so glad I went with this. I really love it with the floor and with the counter. So the counter is walnut and it's stained. It's called shortbread. It's a stain that is just like a house stain. I don't even know if that's what you call it, from our cabinet company. And so I really love how it turned out. And then I just put some of my pens and stuff here. The computers are here. They cut the like hole for the grommet right there. They let me pick And I was like, I knew I wanted to put the printer here. And so I was like, I'd rather just have it close to the printer. And then back here is like my journals, notebooks, and then some books I've read recently or some that I want to just have out because I like them or that I need to review. And then, like I said, these are just files. My kids' headphones are back there. So both of those are just filing cabinets. And then books. Everything else around here is books. Sorry, there we go. The light is gonna make it hard. So I brought some of these from upstairs. We had a whole bookcase upstairs. Some of them are from the bookcase that used to be in this room already. But these are yearbooks from me and my husband, picture books. These are all my kids' baby books up here. They like to look at them. I tried to put stuff where they could reach it, but some things like those just had to go up higher. And those ones actually are a little bit more fragile because I more scrapbook them. And so they have to be a little more careful with those. And then I put, these are all like more history type books up here. I didn't know for sure what to do with those. So like about the Twin Towers, the Titanic, all that kind of stuff, Everest, some of the stuff we used for our history studies this last year. And then these are a little bit more like young adult books. These are church books and, some scriptures. These are some of the church stuff for my kids more. And then just books here, and tried to keep the ones more for the little kids down below. These books, I don't know if anybody else has these. Someone probably does, but my mom had these when I was growing up, and she gave them to me. And they've been downstairs in our basement because I haven't had any place to put them. So they're like value books, and they talk about different people in history and stuff like that. So they're finally up here and I put them where my kids could reach them. These cabinets down here, so we have this really cool window bench seat with the same wood. I love it so much. And then I just put mostly our scripture stuff. We just have a whole bunch of scripture things. These are New Testaments that we're going to use for scripture study in a few years. And I got them really cheap, which is why I have them already. But this stuff was upstairs in our bookcase as well, but it was in the bottom in cupboard type things like this. And so I just put them down here. I didn't want my little kids opening and closing these constantly. So I put stuff down here that doesn't relate to them. So scripture stuff. And then I think the bells for like music and stuff are in here. My son was so excited to put those in there. But I could have done drawers here, but I was worried my kids would sit here and put their feet in the drawers and break them. So I decided to do cupboards, and I really like how that turned out. And then we have this bookcase on this side. So these bookcases, this side is smaller, if you can tell, than this side, because this is matching over here where the desk comes in. So that side where the desk comes in is wider than this side. So that's why it looks like that. And so we have our little skylight here that my kids have their chores and calendar on. So that's there. This down here is all mostly kids' books. Some of these have like themes, space, nature type stuff. This is where I'm trying to figure out piano stuff, because our piano is here now. It used to be in the front office, but one of the goals was to move it back here because there wasn't a lot of room for it in the front office. And so now I'm trying to figure out the basket situation, I think. So I ordered 2 more baskets that should sit side by side here, and I'll just put all their piano books in those 2 baskets. So, because there's 3 kids that do piano, and then just extra piano books right there. So I think that's the goal, and then we'll just have this extra shelf over here for books. So we'll see how it goes. It's been such a struggle because these shelves are not the same size, And so I was like, do I stack them, like move these books somewhere else and rearrange the shelves? These are all movable shelves except like these middle ones where the bottom ones attach the top ones, right? So that's what we have there. And then just some more books. These ones were all in our closet and they were all themed books. So there's Christmas, there's Thanksgiving, St. Patrick's Day. So they're slightly nicer books and I don't want my little kids to be able to get them easily. So that's why they're there. These are basically all Good and the Beautiful books. And then we have like some of the Christian heroes then and now up there and some other books like that, some of the classic start books, and then just some other random school books that we're not using right now. I tried to put all that stuff at the top that we don't use as much, and then decor and nothing for right now. So we'll see what we do with that. And like I said, the piano is right here. So this is a wall that I'll figure out some sort of art to do with, and then also something over here. I'd like this side to have some sort of Christ-centered picture because when you come into the room, this is the wall you see first, you know, so I'd like that to be there. And then maybe from Africa, we'll find something, or we could do a collage of pictures. I'm not really sure yet. Obviously, I'm not gonna get that done before we leave, but we'll see, we'll figure it out. So if you have suggestions, put it down in the comments, but that's kind of where we're at with that. And the last thing I was gonna mention is the closet. So we have this huge homeschool closet. If you didn't know or haven't been around, the people that built this house built this space to be a beauty, like a hair school, not a hair school, what would you call it? A hair salon. There you go. It was to be a hair salon. So this is an exterior door, which was nice for them because the workers could just come in through that door and not have to come through our whole house. But so there's an exterior door. This goes to a bathroom and then a huge closet for like product and stuff like that. And so now we use it for homeschool supplies. So we have our two carts here. This has art supplies. This has schoolwork that we're currently using. And then the closet. It's always kind of hard to see it and to get into it, but I keep this stuff on the top that we don't use as often. I put our globe up there because we don't use it all the time, just sometimes. And then these, I haven't like relabeled them, but they're mostly journals, extra notebooks, things like that, just like extra papers and handwriting books and stuff. And then math manipulatives, science. This has a laminator in it and a paper cutter. And then those are binding coils back there. This has more extra glue in it, more extra glue. That was really good English. My daughter's radish crates. And then this has some like geo boards and stuff in it. And this used to just be full of books, which is what I took a lot of them out. So it just has curriculum for next year and answer keys and some other like science stuff that we're not using right now. There's kindergarten stuff. There's science for birds. There's other piano books that are extra and some Christmas things, I think activities, some origami stuff. So just a few random things. Markers, a big thing of alcohol markers. This is just a sensory bin for my little kids, and then some different games right here that wouldn't fit lower. And my son's chemistry kit, it used to sit clear up here and he had to get a chair to get it out. And then just some different craft supplies. This is a marble like run, whatever this is called, magnetic marble run. And then a few geography things, some whiteboards, some cookie sheets like that are magnetic you can use for little kids, clipboards, art paper, craft supplies, more craft supplies, puzzles, Bob books, a whole bunch of sensory bins, Play-Doh, different activities for toddlers, basically what most of this stuff is that I can pull out for them to do. And then we have games and different STEM activities down on the bottom part. And these are more educational games. The rest of our games are downstairs in the basement closet. So this is stuff that, you know, is math, science, geography, that kind of stuff, or language arts, and not just let's go play a game sort of stuff. And then a lot of STEM building stuff down at the bottom. So that is the closet and a chair, because we can't all reach the top. So we can stand on the chair, but that's what's in our homeschool closet. All right, so that is our homeschool space. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have suggestions for art, again, like Christ-centered art, big ones. Obviously, we need some big pictures here that aren't crazy expensive. I would love to hear your recommendations down in the comments. And remember to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.